Hi again then guys, and so we've got another Special Projects replica build for you today, and this time it's for a little bit of a more obscure racing model. It's the Cadillac CTS-V Coupe race car, and I've built this for the 550 pp level. It has very similar power and weight specs to the real model, and actually turns out to be a seriously competitive racing machine at the 550 pp level. Now, ironically, it's not phenomenally quick in a straight line, which you may expect it to be, being American and being a pretty powerful model, but it's not all that fast in a straight line compared to some other 550 pp racers. What it is good at, however, is handling. The handling is amazingly good for a Cadillac, especially because you don't exactly think of handling when you think of Cadillacs, but this car is shockingly good, actually. I've used it in racing. Many of my replicas I haven't, but this one is actually a race-proven tune, and it was very competitive. I raced it around Sierra and won against vehicles which I didn't expect to beat. So, first of all, we'll go for the visual setup, showing you what I've done to it. Obviously, it's not an exact replica, so there is some room for variation and personal preference. Then we'll go over to the garage for the mechanical setup, and of course finally out to the track to see how it performs. Now, as I said, there is some room for personal variation with this tune, although it is obviously a replica. As far as the bodywork, you have a surprising amount of options. There's a small chin splitter at the front. You can go for a full body kit which is body coloured, or you can go for a carbon accented body kit, which is the one that I've gone for. As far as the flat floor, you do definitely want to fit that because it increases your PP and of course increases your handling significantly. For the rear wing, we've gone for the custom wing, and then we've got the Type A wing supports, the Type B wing itself, and Type A winglets. And then as far as the size, we've gone for the maximum width and maximum height. For the rims, we've gone for standard size because you pretty much never see racing cars with big rims. And we've gone for these BBS LMR wheels, which are pretty close to what many racing cars use. Not necessarily dead on accurate, but pretty accurate. As far as the gauges, obviously just choose whichever ones you want, but I've gone for water temp, oil temp and oil pressure. And then as far as the colours that we've used on this particular model, fairly simple setup, again with some room for variation. The actual racing version, of course, is predominantly silver. And the silver that I've gone for is a metallic silver, of course, and it's ultimate metal silver. But, you know, silver is silver is silver, so just go for whichever one you want. As far as the rims, we've gone for Phantom Black, I believe. Yep, Phantom Black, which, again, black is black is black, just go for whichever one you have. And those, or that colour in particular, comes from the Chaparral laser-powered Vision GT car, and we've gone again for black with the brakes. So a pretty simple visual setup as far as replicas go. So now let's go over to the garage for the mechanical setup. So as far as our mechanical setup, you want your racing soft tyres, of course. For suspension, we've got the ride height 10mm higher on the front, as you can see, and the reason for that is because this Cadillac naturally has quite a slammed nose, and basically I've just increased that by 10 compared to the front to give it a more even, flatter overall look. As far as the springs, we've increased those to 1325 and 1150, dampers on 5, anti-roll all the way up to 7, camber on 3, neutral toe, of course. For the gearbox, you want an auto setting of 180. Then we've rounded off the individual gears to 3560, 2430, 1790, 1380, 1110 and 940, with a final drive of 3.1. For the diff, lowest initial torque, of course, high acceleration and low braking. For the power, we do not have any power upgrades, but we do have an oil change. Then, as you can see, we've restricted the power down to 460 horsepower. As I said, we do have an oil change, so if you do not have an oil change, obviously you'll be able to have your power limiter set a little bit higher than I have. And we have the rear downforce set as high as possible, of course, the full weight loss package, and then we've got a 39 kilo ballast which we've put all the way to the rear of the car, both to improve the weight distribution and of course bring us up to the 550 pp category. So that's it for the mechanical setup of the car. Now let's finally go out to the track to see how it performs. Overall, as I said at the outset of the video, it's a surprisingly good handling car. Not that Cadillac or American companies in general particularly make bad handling cars, they're just not really known for making particularly good handling cars either. Handling just doesn't really come into it. It's all about power and straight line performance for the most part, especially with the Cadillac performance models. They're just not known for being track cars, they're known for being incredibly quick in a straight line. This car really turns that concept on its head, because although it's certainly not slow in a straight line, its primary strong point really is its grip and cornering ability. Now, as far as competitiveness, well, I already said it's surprisingly competitive. I would limit it to tracks where big power isn't really an issue, so your opponents don't really get a chance to use their power if they do tend to have more power than you. So tracks like Laguna Seca or Sierra or the Nuremberg Ring, tracks where you can really use this car's handling to your best advantage. I would not recommend using it on high speed tracks like Monza or Lasarte, for instance. And overall it makes good use of a car which often gets forgotten in most people's garages. So if you decide to use this tune, I hope you find it helpful and of course competitive, and I'll see you guys next time. And as always, thanks for watching.